For this activity, we're given 3 different sequences and asked to come up with an expression for each of the different colors within the sequences. Then given that, we need to come up with a function to come up with the total number of blocks for each sequence. And then given that, we need to calculate what would the 50th step in the sequence, how many blocks would be in the 50th block in the sequence, 50th step in the sequence. Alright, so the first thing we need to do is determine if we can come up with expressions for each of the colors. So if I create this table right here that shows me for blue, red, and green how many different blocks are there. So I need to go back to my expression and count. So when I look at step 4, it looks like for blue, let's go to blue here. Okay, sorry, let's go to blue here. Okay, within blue, when I count out step 4, I have 3 blocks. When I count out step 5, I have 3 blocks. When I count out step 6, I have 3 blocks. Alright, let's go to red, just counting out. When I have step 4, it looks like I have 16 blocks. For step 5, I have 25. And for step 6, I have 36. And then finally, let's look at green. Within green, within step 4, I have 8 blocks. Within step 5, I have 10. And in step 6, I have 12. So now I need to go back and figure out what are the expressions that's going to make this happen. So B of n, I use B for blue. So for B of n, if n is 4, I end up with 3. If n is 5, I end up with 3. If n is 6, I end up with 3. And so my expression is, no matter what I put in for n, I'm always going to have 3 blue blocks. So the function is just going to be B of n equals 3. Now let's look at red. For red, if I put in n into the function r of n, I just use r for red, so r of n, if r of 4 is 16, r of 5 is 25, and r of 6 is 36. So my expression is going to be, if I take 4, in this case n, and square it, I'm going to get 16. If I take 5 and square it, I'm going to end up with 25, and 6 and square it, I end up with 36. So for the red blocks, I just take the step number and square it. And finally, for the green blocks, if I take g for green, g of n equals, g of 4 equals 8, g of 5 equals 10, g of 6 equals 12. So the expression is going to be, whatever I take g, I'm just going to multiply by 2. So if I take 2 times 4, I'm going to get 8. 2 times 5 equals 10, and 2 times 6 equals 12. So now I can take these expressions and put them together. I'm going to say that t for total t of n equals, so my red blocks are n squared plus 2n for my green blocks plus 3 for my blue blocks. So here's my expression for this first function. First quadratic function is t of n equals n squared plus 2n plus 3. So at step 50, if I plug in 50 here, I'm going to have that t of 50 equals 50 squared plus 2 times 50 plus 3. So if I do this out, 50 times 50 is 2,500 plus 2 times 50 is 100 plus 3. Put that all together, and the answer is, on step 50, I'm going to have 2,603 blocks total.